Yo, what's going on, guys? Crispy Flakes here. So we all have different perspectives when it comes to the game of basketball. We have our favorite players, our favorite teams. We have certain times where we start watching the game of basketball, and we all really just have different memories of it. You know what I'm saying? So for today's video, we are going to be talking about NBA draft busts. We are going to be talking about players, a certain player that you had to witness yourself being drafted to your team. You being like, yo man, this player is gonna be the next big thing for our franchise. Like this player is the next big step in the right direction. And then it just didn't happen. Have it be injuries, maybe there was a trade, maybe the player was just, you know, plain old horrible out there. So I want to know from you guys in the comment section below the all-time biggest draft bust that you personally had to witness watching the game of basketball and following your favorite NBA team. Now, of course, I'm going to talk a bit about mine here, and that is obviously being the Detroit Pistons. I have two that I'm going to talk about that I remember watching growing up and just never panning out for them. Number one, obviously, Darko Milicic. Now, Darko actually was drafted right when I started watching the game of basketball. Like, the season before is when Darko was drafted to the team, and I just remember people were actually pretty hyped up about him. I always got excited when he got, you know, those few minutes at the end of the game, because I was like, all right, you know, he's young out there, and he's going to get some minutes and everything. Let's see what we can do with him. And then he would just go in the game, and there was just absolutely zero improvement from one game to the next. Like, every game, it just felt like it was him playing the game for the first time, and he was just absolutely horrible. And then, you know, as a young kid, we all have, you know, NBA players are like superheroes to us out there. So I'm out here watching LeBron James tear it up, which he was drafted number one anyway. You know, Carmelo Anthony, Dwyane Wade, Chris Bosh, you know, players that really set the era of that, you know, of basketball. You know, like, these are still players we still talk about to this day. And just Darko was not. I mean, Darko just had a 30 for 30 about life in the NBA, about how it wasn't for him, about how it was so horrible for him, about how he hated it and everything, and it just how he hates basketball pretty much now. And I'm sure he's a good guy and everything. I'm sure he's a nice guy, but I don't know, man. It's just such a salty memory in my brain that's just never going to leave me, is drafting Darko Milicic with the second pick in the NBA draft. It would have been different if it was like a draft where players weren't very good anyway, because, you know, there's always NBA drafts that are stronger than others, and some are just plain old weak out there where the players don't really ever pan out, except for a select few from every single draft class. So maybe that would have made the stinging a little less rough on me. But I don't know, man. Just Darko Milicic is rough just thinking about him these days, guys. That's why I always get salty when somebody brings him up. And for my second NBA draft bust that I had to witness, a guy that I thought was going to be a lot better than what he really was. When he was actually drafted, he was compared to Dwyane Wade. People were saying, you know, this guy could be the next Dwyane Wade with how he plays style of basketball. He was a multi-guard dimensional player. And of course, man, I believe he was from Eastern Washington, and that is Rodney Stuckey. Yes, guys, Rodney Stuckey. When he was first drafted, I remember watching some highlights. I was like, I've never seen him play in college. I didn't really know about his college or anything like that, just where he was from. And I remember my stepdad was like watching him and stuff, and that was the year I believe they also drafted Arron Afflalo in the second round. And my stepdad was a big Arron Afflalo fan. I was a big Rodney Stuckey fan. So we always would kind of back and forth at each other saying, you know, like, Rodney Stuckey is going to be taking over. It's like, no, man. He's like, Arron Afflalo is the player of this team. And then Arron Afflalo, of course, didn't get many minutes because he was picked in the second round, as is another similar player in Chris Middleton. Both players, Arron Afflalo and Chris Middleton, went on to different teams and became pretty good players. Like, I remember Arron Afflalo had a 20-point per game season on the Orlando Magic. Of course, Chris Middleton in the second round, he went on to go to the Milwaukee Bucks. He's a star there right now. And Rodney Stuckey, though, where is Rodney Stuckey at? Well, is he even on an NBA team? I think last I heard he was on the Indiana Pacers. He might still be on the team technically. I don't think he plays at all. But yeah, man, I just remember because those were some rough years for the NBA. That was the year where we had like Rodney Stuckey on our team. I think Jason Maxiell was starting at power forward position, which I do have some good memories of J-Max out there. But, you know, Rodney Stuckey was supposed to be leading that team. We also had Kyle Singler starting as small forward from Duke, which honestly, guys, you know, I hate to say this. I hate to be stereotypical, but when Luke Kennard was drafted out of Duke to my Detroit Pistons, I was mad salty because I was like, yo, man, the last guy that came out of Duke, that was a shooter, it was Kyle Singler. So I was like, oh, it's gonna be Kyle Singler. And little did I know, man, you know, this Luke Kennard guy, I've been seeing some game tape of him. He's actually looking pretty nice for us out there. But yeah, man, I don't know, I know I'm getting kind of off top here, like talking about my own personal experience with my Pistons, but that's just my story, guys. That's my story of growing up watching certain players and hoping they develop to be something, and they just didn't. I know other players out there that were not on my Pistons, but I remember it being like big time, and they just completely just busted up, guys. Was guys like, y'all remember Sebastian Telfair? Like, that dude had like his own special on ESPN and everything. And I actually had a friend in high school that was a big fan of Sebastian Telfair. He would always talk about him, and it just was like, no, man, it just never worked out for him. You know, he was just kind of pure trash out there. But yes, guys, I would love to hear your guys' personal NBA stories here about a certain player that was drafted to your team and it just never worked out, or maybe you're going through that right now hoping like, yo, this certain player works out and it's just not looking good. Anyway, guys, thank you guys all so much for watching, and peace out, my friends.